Hello, everyone, and welcome to my mini tarot workshop on how to read tarot during stressful times. So, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I just want to say thank you so much for showing up, whether you're here live or if you're going to be watching the replay. I just want to say thank you so much for making time in your day to hang out with me. So take a moment to get settled, get comfortable, introduce yourself in the chat room, say hello, let me know, where you're from. And I'm gonna just give you kind of a quick little overview of what I'm gonna be covering. So I'm going to begin. I guess I should introduce myself first. I guess that's important. I'll introduce myself, and right off the bat, I want to let you know I've got something happening with my throat, and I keep feeling like I have to cough up phlegm. So I may have to clear my throat throughout this live cast. So just an advanced apology. So my name is Kate. I'm also known as the Daily Tarot Girl, and I'm an intuitive tarot card reader, and I also teach online tarot courses. So my website is dailytarotgirl.com. And whether you're new, like totally new to tarot, or if you've been reading tarot for a while, I've got so many fun things on my website. So I have numerous instructional videos, tarot exercises, I've got deck reviews, I've got a list of tarot card meanings, there's tons of free tarot spreads, there's just tons of really fun stuff. So if you haven't checked out my website, do so after the live cast. All right, so my intention why I'm doing this tarot workshop is because I think that right now is a really stressful, unpredictable time for pretty much everyone. And it's during these stressful times that we will often reach for our tarot cards because we're looking for some sense of, we're looking for clarity, we're looking for answers, we're looking for guidance and a sense of comfort. And ironically, though, it's often when we're stressed out and upset about something that a tarot reading sometimes is the worst thing to do. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that, and I'm going to go over 4 key components to reading tarot, whether you're reading for yourself or for someone else during a stressful time. There'll be a Q&A at the end. I also have a handout which has all the info that I'm going to cover in today's lesson. There's going to be a tarot spread and a worksheet and something else. And I'll give that out at the end of the live cast. And there'll be time for Q&A, and also if there's a little bit of time, I'll do a few one-card readings as well. All right, so I'm just going to have a look at some of the comments here. Oh, there's lots of people here. Great. Yay. Nice. Okay. So I want to ask everyone, how are you doing? And, how are you holding up? And how has recent world events affected your tarot practice? Like, do you find yourself reaching for your tarot cards more often than normal, doing lots and lots of readings, or do you find yourself not wanting to reach for your cards? Because I've heard from people who say, since the whole coronavirus outbreak, I just haven't felt like reading tarot. I've just kind of been disconnected from it. And then there's some people who say that they're doing lots and lots of readings. I tend to be in the camp where I haven't been doing a lot of readings. And it's not that I've been blocked or that I haven't really wanted to. I just haven't felt the need for it, which is unusual for me. So just share kind of how it's affecting you and what your tarot practice is looking like these days. And I'm just gonna, my cat's hair gets everywhere, and there's a hair right on the camera. Okay. Yeah, and Angelica Michelle, you said you're an essential worker and you're too tired for tarot most days. Yeah, I find that it's interesting because people are either in kind of one or two camps. They either have like an essential service job, so they're like super stretched and they're like really busy and tired, or there's people who are, sitting at home watching Netflix all day long. So it's kind of, and I know there's lots of people that are just working from home as well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so quite a few people are struggling a little bit with their readings. Nice. Okay. All right. I wish I could read all the comments, but that's going to be boring for you guys if you're just watching me read a screen. Oh, hi, Amy. Yeah, you're still doing daily draws, lots of swords. Great. Okay. So yeah, so I think that a lot of us are drawn to doing a tarot reading during a stressful time. Now, whether that is like what we're all going through now, which is like a global kind of stressful time, but then there's those times where you're just stressed out about your own personal stuff that's going on. And the techniques that I'm going to teach you in this workshop, you can apply them whether you're doing a reading while you're stressed out about something else, or if you're doing a reading about a topic that is really something that you feel charged up about. All right. So when you do a reading, whether you feel stressed out about just what's happening to you in general, or whether you're stressed out about the topic that you're reading about, what can happen is it's really hard to listen to your intuition, because when you're calm and quiet, that is when your intuition speaks to you. Or if you're doing something that's kind of repetitive, where you're not really thinking, like you're in the shower, or you're driving, or you're out for a walk, those are also times that your intuition can communicate with you. But if you're really highly emotional and you're really stressed out, it can sometimes drown out your intuition. And it's really hard to distinguish between your intuition and your fears and your anxieties. Also, it's hard to remain unbiased, especially if you're reading about a topic that is really important to you. So if you're reading, say, about your financial future, you're going to be really charged up about that probably. And so it's hard to look at the cards with a really objective, unbiased lens if you're stressed out. And also, we can be hypersensitive to those negative tarot cards when they come up in a reading if we're already emotionally raw. So all the stuff I'm going to teach you in the next 15 minutes is going to help with all of those things. Okay, so let's begin with step one. So step one is to calm your energy. So before you do a tarot reading, and you would do this even if you're not stressed out, but definitely if you're stressed out, the first step is to calm your energy. And this is because what I kind of explained before, it's hard to really tap into your intuition and to even tap into the wisdom of the cards if you're highly emotional and if you're all charged up about something. I have done numerous tarot readings when I have not bothered to calm my energy, when I'm just really, in a froth about something, and it never, ever, ever leads to a helpful reading, ever. So the first step is to calm your energy. Now we're going to do this together. So we're going to relax and center ourselves. Now, what I've noticed is that sometimes when we try to relax and center ourselves, it can backfire. And I notice this when I'm trying to fall asleep at night. I have these guided relaxation meditations that I listen to help me fall asleep. And sometimes they just work like a charm. And other times I'll go to bed and I'll be feeling actually pretty tired. And I'll start listening to this guided relaxation. And because I'm trying to relax, it has the opposite effect. And I end up feeling more awake and more charged up than before because I'm trying to relax. And I've noticed that if I listen to like a relaxation tape or even just relaxing music in the middle of the day when I'm not really supposed to relax, that's when it really works. But if I'm trying to relax, it doesn't. So sometimes, if you're sitting down to do a reading, you're like, okay, I've got to relax, I've got to get centered. Sometimes it backfires and it doesn't work. So the first step is to truly accept yourself where you're at right now. So let's do this together. So get comfortable. I like doing this seated with my spine straight, but you can do whatever works for you. Just start by taking a deep breath in. And just notice what's coming up for you. So just notice emotionally, is there any emotions that are coming to the surface? You might notice physical sensations. You might notice tension. You might notice thoughts. Whatever's happening, don't try to change it and don't judge it. Because I think sometimes if we have a negative thought or if we're feeling tense, we think, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I don't want to feel this way. And that just creates more tension. So just noticing what's coming up. And then what we're going to say to ourselves is, right now I feel blank, whatever you feel. So right now I feel anxious, or right now I feel tense, or maybe you feel relaxed, whatever's going on for you. Say, right now I feel, and that is okay. It's okay to feel that way. And I love and accept myself anyway. So it's okay to feel the way you feel, and just accept yourself no matter how you're feeling. And what you might notice is that when you do that, it creates a space. So let's just breathe into that space. And you might want to put one hand on your stomach and one hand on your chest. And just think about breathing down into your belly. So ideally, you want the hand on your belly to rise before the hand on your chest. If you're a shallow breather, you'll notice the hand on your chest will be going up and down. So think about kind of consciously directing your breath down into your belly. And then think about extending your exhale just a little bit. So sometimes I'll count my inhale, my exhale. So I'll inhale for 3 or 4 seconds. And then I'll exhale for 1 second more. So if I inhale for 4 seconds, I'll exhale for 5 seconds. And even just doing like 3 breaths like that can have a really significant effect on my stress levels. Because what it does when you extend your exhale, it sends a message to your brain and your nervous system that you are okay, that you are safe. So just taking a few breaths like that should help you calm down and center yourself. All right. So that was really quick. You can spend longer doing that when you're doing a reading on your own. You might want to spend 5 minutes. But it's not necessary to spend a really long time doing the relaxation portion. It just depends, I guess, how stressed out you are. But I find usually just a couple of minutes of focusing on my breath is enough to calm me down. All right. Okay, so the second step after you've calmed yourself, after you've centered yourself, and some people like to do a grounding exercise where you ground your energy. I like to imagine kind of the roots of a tree growing down my legs and into the floor. That can be helpful as well. All right, so the second step, and this is the step that you would do before you do your tarot reading. So before you even get your cards out, you want to ask yourself, how do I want to feel? So let's say you're stressed out about your finances, because I know a lot of people are. So maybe you want to do a tarot reading around your finances. But before you formulate your question, before you even shuffle your cards, ask yourself, how do I want to feel in regards to my finances? And get really clear. So I'll share with you how I want to feel in regards to my finances. All right. So I want to feel calm. I want to feel grounded and optimistic when it comes to money and finances in my life right now. And what this does when you ask that question, okay, how do I want to feel? It automatically helps you shift into a more positive, empowered mindset. So before you might have been thinking about the problem and, oh, what am I going to do? Now you're thinking about how you want to feel. So it helps you really shift your mindset. All right, so let's do this together. So I'm going to ask you, how do you want to feel right now in relation to everything that's happening in the world? How would you like to feel? Because I think a lot of us are feeling stressed, a lot of us are anxious, a lot of us are overwhelmed, ungrounded. So ideally, how would you like to feel? Sometimes I like to imagine that I have this alter ego self that's just really cool and can deal with everything and nothing phases her. And I sometimes think, like, how would that version of myself be reacting to this? What would she be doing right now? So share with me in the comments, how do you want to feel right now? I know there's a little bit of a delay too from when I ask a question to when you guys probably hear the question. Once you're clear on how you want to feel, then you can get your tarot cards and start by asking your cards, how can I feel the way that I want to feel? And whatever card comes up is going to give you guidance as to what action you can do to feel that way, what strengths you have that you can tap into, what kind of skills, what kind of resources are available to you to help you feel that way, or at least get closer to feeling that way. So, all right. So, okay, some comments are coming in. So, Andy, Kat, you said you want to feel comforted. Felipe, you said you want to feel safe, healthy, and optimistic. Karen, you want to feel calm, self-confident, safe. I'm just going to start reading some of these out. Safe, loved, and nurtured. Go with the flow. I want my life and my loved one back. Comforted, safe and secure, healthy. Yeah, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a card. I'm going to do kind of a group reading for everyone here. So I'm going to ask my deck, how can we feel the way that we want to feel? How can we get closer to feeling the way that we want to feel? So I'm using the Spacious Tarot. This is by Carrie Mallon and Annie Root. So I'm just going to give the cards a bit of a shuffle here. Yeah, Felipe, you say you love the Spacious Tarot. It's a great deck, and I feel like right now it's a good deck to use because I feel like it's calm. It feels calm and spacious whenever I read with it, and that's how I want to feel right now. Okay, so I'm going to hold my deck in my hands here, and on behalf of everyone on this live cast and whoever's watching the replay, I'm going to ask the question, how can we feel the way that we want to feel right now? What advice does the tarot have for us? Oh, interesting. Okay. 5 of Pentacles. Okay, this is going to be a tricky one. I was hoping I'd get something easy like the star, the sun, or something. This is a tricky one. Okay, so the 5 of Pentacles, it shows a dog that you might not be able to see it, but the dog is wounded and it's bleeding in its side. And it looks like it's trying to find higher ground and protection here. All right, so this is a tough one. This is a tricky one. This one's kind of challenging me. So within this card, it's giving us insight and wisdom as to how we can feel the way that we want to feel. And I think that in a lot of ways, that wounded dog represents all of us in some way. And what I'm getting is accepting our vulnerability. Accepting our vulnerability is the first step. Because I think that when we feel vulnerable, and I think we all feel vulnerable right now, whether you feel vulnerable health-wise, financially, socially, whatever it is, the first step is to accept that you're vulnerable instead of fighting it and trying to deny it. And the other thing that I'm getting is that the dog is he's moving to higher ground, and he's moving towards this cluster of rocks. And it's almost like that is like a safe haven. Now, in the Rider-Waite version of this card, there's the two people that are kind of injured, and they're hobbling outside a church with a stained glass window in the background. And I always see that church, that glowing stained glass window, as being like inside. It's like the shelter. It's like where the solution might lie to the person's problems. So I feel like this dog is going for safety. It's going for higher ground, and it's looking for shelter and comfort. So I think one question to ask yourselves is, what kinds of things, how can you create comfort for yourself right now? How can you create a sense of comfort? And this might be challenging for some of us, but what kinds of things can you do to soothe yourself and to create that sense of comfort for yourself, even though, yes, you're vulnerable, you don't know what's going to happen? What can you do to comfort and soothe yourself right now? Okay. So if anyone wants to add to that, I'm going to draw another card because I feel like one card for that reading is enough. So I'm going to draw one more card. So I'm going to ask, what else can we do to feel the way that we want to feel? And this will be in addition to the Five of Pentacles. Elder of Swords. So Elder of Swords is King of Swords. All right. Another kind of challenging one, actually. So the King of Swords, or the Elder of Swords here, has a sharp mind. He is focused, he is sharp, and he's able to tune out distractions. So that is the number one thing I'm getting from this card, is the more you can tune out distractions that are unhelpful for you, the easier it will be to feel the way that you want to feel. So if you want to feel calm, if you want to feel safe and grounded, ask yourself what kinds of distractions, like maybe, like I know myself, I'm watching the news most nights, I'm reading stuff online, I'm going on Facebook. Those are all big distractions, and none of them make me feel calm. None of them make me feel optimistic. So that's one thing I can start to tone down. I can start to limit that. The King of Swords is also, he's focused, he can tune out distractions. He's very much a rational thinker. And I think that thinking rationally right now and tuning into the rational mind could be helpful for many of us. Even just engaging our minds right now, because the mind can be like a runaway train. If it doesn't have something occupying it, it will find something to glom onto. So I find doing jigsaw puzzles is really helpful, doing word puzzles, things that kind of engage my hands and my mind are really, really helpful right now. All right. So step number 3. So we've already gone over calming your energy, asking the question, how do I want to feel? And step 3 is to ask stress-free questions. So if you're stressed out about something and you sit down to do a tarot reading, if you're not careful what kinds of questions you ask your card, there's a high probability that your reading is only going to make you feel more stressed out. And can anyone relate to this? Like, I've done so many readings where I've been stressed about something and I'm like, oh, I'll do a tarot reading and it will help me figure things out and calm me down. And I read the cards and it just stresses me out even more. So there's certain questions that can lead to a really stressful reading. And then there's certain questions that will help you feel calm and empowered after the reading. So number one is to avoid asking directly about the issue that's stressing you out. Now, this may sound kind of weird, kind of counterintuitive. So for example, let's say your finances are stressing you out. Avoid asking directly about them. So avoid asking questions like, what should I do about this issue? Or what do I need to know about my finances? Or why is this happening? What am I supposed to learn from this? Or, what will happen? That is the worst question to ask when it comes to, being stressed out. So all these questions can just add to your stress and anxiety. Instead, you want to ask kind of indirect questions. So questions like, how can I feel the way I want to feel? Like what we just did. How can I improve my situation? How can I make the most out of this situation? What is my purpose right now? What should I be focusing on right now? What strengths do I have that will help me right now? So notice, like, if I'm asking about my finances, if I were to ask a question like, are my finances going to improve in the next year? That's a disempowering question that could lead to a stressful, not very helpful reading. But if I ask, what strengths do I have? What skills do I have that will help me improve my finances in the next year? That's a much more empowering question, and it's going to lead to a more helpful reading. So I've actually, in the handout that I'm going to give you guys, I've actually included all these questions in that handout, questions to avoid and questions to ask. So these questions, the ones like, how can I feel the way I want to feel? What strengths do I have? What's my purpose right now? All of these questions help you shift into a state of empowerment. So these are much more empowering questions that are going to lead to a more satisfying, helpful reading. Okay. Jennifer, you said you love handouts. Okay, why don't I just give you guys the handout now? I'm going to try to do it here. I got a new laptop, and this laptop has not very many USB ports. And so when I'm doing a live cast, if I have my camera and my microphone, I can't have my mouse. And then I haven't figured out how to copy and paste a link with my laptop mouse. So bear with me here. I don't know how to do it. Okay. Just one sec here. I know there's a highlight and do Command C. Oh, what's Command C? Everyone's going to try to tell me how to do this. Okay. Do you have arrow? There's no arrow. No, there's no arrow button. Command Control. Okay, I'm going to try that. Nope. Shift Control. Nope. So I've already highlighted. I've copied the link, and I just want to paste it. And this is not a Mac. This is a PC. And I have, it's Windows. Oh, someone said Control C. Okay. Nope, that didn't work. Control C and then Control V. Okay, Control V. Woo! That worked. Okay. Enter. Okay, so there is the handout. I think there's 4 or 5 pages in that handout. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see that. And thank you so much to, who was it? A Toledo Taylor and everyone who told me how to do that. Thank you. Okay. So step 4, the last step, is to focus your reading on what you can do rather than on what will happen. Because I find that whenever we're stressed about something, we want to know how it's going to turn out. And we think that if we have that knowledge and that certainty, that we aren't going to be stressed out. But that's not true. That's only true if everything's going to work out in your favor, right? Which sometimes it doesn't. A lot of the time it doesn't. So if you focus your reading on what you can do as opposed to what will happen, that puts you in the driver's seat. That's a very empowering way to do a reading. And when you're in your power, you are less anxious, you're less stressed. We tend to get really stressed when we feel like we have no control over things and that we have no power. You always, even in situations where you have very little control and very little power, you always have a choice as to how to respond to something. So focusing the reading on what you can do as opposed to what will happen, it helps you actually see the so-called negative cards in a much more helpful light. So when a negative card comes up in a reading, seeing it as the tarot telling you what needs to be released, what needs to be looked at and let go of in order to get back on the right path. So let me give you some examples. So let's do some exercises here. I'm just going to shuffle. I'm going to use the Everyday Witch Tarot for this one, and we're going to practice looking at a tarot card in terms of action, in terms of what to do. So I'm going to draw a card, and we're going to assume that this card is encouraging us to take a particular action. Okay. The World. Nice. Okay, so what kinds of actions might the World suggest? I like how she has a really carefree, relaxed attitude here. So I feel like this is encouraging us to let go a little bit, let go of control, let go of needing to know the outcome of something. I love the World because she is just so open to whatever is going to unfold. She has trust and she embraces the unpredictable nature of life and the world in general. So I feel like this is about kind of letting go and being open to something new coming in. I'm just going to read some of the comments here. I'm just going to answer a question. So Amina asks, is it okay to do many readings for a specific question in a day? No, I would only do one reading for a specific question. I feel like doing lots and lots of readings on the same question is mostly going to be unhelpful. So I would stick with one. I wouldn't even do it. I wouldn't even ask the same question, once a day. I would just do, once a month, maybe once a week. Yeah. And Angelic Michelle, you said the world is in chaos and you pulled the world. Yeah, I did. But this isn't a chaotic. The image on this card isn't chaotic. It's about being open to what's going to happen next, even if it's unpredictable. All right. So Andy Cat said, do you bless your deck before a reading to prevent negative energy from influencing them? No, I don't. I clear if I'm reading for other people, I always clear my deck with sage and through, my intention and shuffling. And I feel like just kind of shuffling and holding the deck is how I like to cleanse it. I don't bless it or do any elaborate rituals for my deck. And I've never felt like it was, full of negative energy or anything like that. All right. Okay, so let's do one more little practice thingy. So this time I'm going to draw a card. Let's practice it looking at this card through the lens of personal strengths. So I'm going to draw a card, and it's going to represent a personal strength that you have that you want to be tapping into right now. It's going to help you if you tap into this strength. Judgment. Nice. All right. So it's another major arcana card. Number 20. And was the world was 21. Interesting. All right. So what kind of strength does this represent? Judgment is all about reinventing oneself. It's about starting the next phase of life. In the Rider-Waite deck, this shows people jumping out of coffins. It's like a resurrection, like you're being resurrected. I have another deck that shows a phoenix rising from the flames. And this is a strength that we all have. This is what resiliency is all about, our ability to come out of things and to transform ourselves, to use challenges and difficulty and suffering as a means of transforming ourselves and reinventing ourselves, reinventing our life, how we do things, how we look at things, our perspective. And yeah, it's a really, really powerful message. And I think that is the strength that we all have. We all have that ability. Another thing with this card is I see this card about listening to your inner calling and being able to make your own music. She's playing a flute here. And this is about being able to tap into your unique mission in life, your unique purpose, and to be able to express that. And I think that that is a strength. That's something we can all do. It's not always easy to do that, but now is the time to tap into that. Now is the time to listen to our inner calling and start to take action toward doing the work that we are meant to do in the world. Yeah, oh, I love everyone's answers. Yeah. Jackie, you said following your own music. A lot of people mentioned creativity and not being stagnant. Yeah. Yeah, and this is the Everyday Witch Tarot for anyone who's wondering. All right. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly recap those 4 things that we went over. All right, so the 4 steps to reading tarot when you're stressed, or if you're reading tarot about a stressful topic, or if you're reading tarot for someone who's stressed out. First, you want to calm your energy. You want to get centered, calm your energy, accept whatever feelings you're feeling at the moment. Second step is to ask, how do I want to feel in relation to whatever it is you're reading about? And then ask your deck, how can I feel the way I want to feel? The third step is to ask empowering, stress-free questions. And in the handout, I've given a list of some good questions to ask. And the fourth step is to focus the reading on what you can do and what your strengths are, as opposed to what is going to happen. Okay, so now I'm going to open it up for Q&A. So if anyone has a question about tarot or tarot reading, please feel free to ask me. And I will be doing some one-card readings. But first, I want to see if you have any questions about tarot. Okay, and I will... oh, there's some questions right here. Okay. So Lola asks, did you color the sides of the Everyday Witch Tarot? No, I didn't. Okay, so do I put all the cards one way only, or do I shuffle them reversed and straight? I shuffle my cards so they're all upright. I don't read reversals. I don't like reading reversals because I feel like it kind of complicates it, like unnecessarily complicates a reading. So I don't bother with reversals. So I shuffle everything upright. All right. So a couple people asked about the handout. So I'm gonna see if I can. Was it Control C or Control V? There. Okay, I just posted the handout for those of you who missed it the first time. Also, if for some reason you couldn't get the handout or couldn't find it, I'm going to be posting this video and the handout on my blog right after this. So if you go to dailytarotgirl.com and go to my blog, you'll find it. Okay. Okay, do I listen to the first thought that comes into my head when I'm doing a tarot reading? Often, yes. Often it's that first thought that's really important. So yeah, I do pay attention to the first thought. Okay, so Catherine asks, how can I understand the Ace of Pentacles on a deeper level? So the aces are tricky because the aces, and I know you're just asking about the Ace of Pentacles, but the aces, they're kind of like the court cards in that they all kind of look the same and there's not really a lot happening on them. So it can be tricky to read the aces. I suggest studying each suit. So you're wanting to get insight into the Ace of Pentacles. Really get a sense of what the suit of Pentacles is about. That's going to help you understand the Ace of Pentacles on a deeper level. Okay, how many cards should I pull to get the right answer? There's no real set amount. Like some readers like to use a lot of cards when they do a reading. Some readers like to just use a few. I like to just use one if I can help it, and then go from there if I feel like I need to add more cards. So I would say 1 to 3 cards is ideal for me personally, but it's just whatever works for you. What is my favorite deck? Probably the Everyday Witch Tarot right now. This is the one I use the most. I love a lot of decks. I have a lot of really wonderful ones, but this is the one I reach for the most. Oh, Taylor, you said you're currently reading A Magical Course in Tarot and wanted to thank me for the recommendation. Thank you. Yeah, A Magical Course in Tarot by Michelle Morgan. It's one of my favorite tarot books, and I always recommend it to people. Okay, what do I think about coloring a tarot deck, which is not specifically for being colored, like a normal deck? I'm not sure if I understand the question. I think if you want to color a tarot deck, go for it. Do you feel the deck you choose for reading really shows you the message you need to see right then? I know you have so many decks and all have different pictures. Yeah, I do feel like whatever deck I'm drawn to, that's the deck I'm meant to read with, because each deck is going to depict each card a little bit differently. So I think whatever deck I feel drawn to read with, that's the message I'm meant to get. Can you give a deck to Goodwill if you really don't like the quality of print? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can. How are the kitties? Oh, kitties are good. I'm so glad you asked. I'll show you my foster cat. This is Dahlia. Say hi, Dahlia. Hey, girl. I recently got Dahlia to cuddle with me on my lap, which is a huge step. And that's the first time I've ever been able to do that with a feral cat. So kitties are doing good. And my own cats, Henry and Merlina, are doing great. They're upstairs right now. Okay, I think I missed a couple of questions here. Okay, Felipe, you say you have a problem with reading the pages. In the court cards, it's really hard for me to understand them. Yeah, so think of the court cards as being like a family. You've got the king, queen, knight, and page. So think of the king and queen as being like the mom and the dad. And then the knight is like the older sibling that is maybe, not living at home anymore. They're out in the world, they're working on their career, etc. The page is younger. It's like a younger kid. The page is immature, inexperienced. They're just learning things. They're trying to figure things out. That's how that helped me really understand the court cards better. So if you think of, like, say, for example, the page of wands. What does the suit of wands represent? It represents energy, represents passion and willpower. So the page of wands is learning how to manage his energy. He's learning how to direct his energy, how to focus, how to not let his energy overwhelm him. He's learning about willpower and how to hone those skills, but he's not quite there yet. So he's kind of stumbling a little bit. How long should you spend on a reading? Again, this is like how many cards should you use? It really just depends. I like quick readings. When I'm reading for myself, I like to do just a one card quickie. You can spend 10 minutes, you can spend 5 minutes on a reading. If I'm reading for someone else, it usually takes me about 30 minutes to do a reading. But you said 20 minutes does you in. So just, pay attention to that. And if 20 minutes exhausts you, stick to 15-minute readings for a little while and kind of work your way up. I think sometimes there's certain things that cause us to lose energy when we're doing a reading. So also noticing what it is about doing a reading that drains your energy so that you feel done in by the 20-minute mark, and just start to pay attention to what those things might be. Okay, how do I read tarot cards that don't have pictures on them? So I think you're referring to pip decks. And actually the Spacious Tarot, in some of the cards are kind of like that. Like, we've got the Eight of Wands here. I mean, there are pictures on them, clearly. Four of Wands, but they're not super detailed. Like, there's not a lot to work with. Seven of Wands. And how I read them is I have a really good understanding of the tarot, and I already know what each card means. And so I'm not as reliant on the images to jog my memory. So that's how I do it. But if you don't have a good understanding of tarot, it can be really tricky. I'm glad people enjoy this. Thank you for those of you for saying nice things. How many readings can you do in one day? How many are too much for you? So for me, it depends on the day. So a day where I'm like really energized, have a lot of energy, 3 readings. So this is readings that are professional readings that I'm doing for someone else. And these are readings that usually take me from anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes to do. I can do a maximum of 3. I think I maybe one day did 4, but that was like a record. Ideally, 2 a day is kind of my max. 2 a day seems like plenty. 3, I feel I'm having to kind of force myself a little bit. But I would say 3 is kind of my max. How can you make a reading flow and tell a story? Okay, so Jessica, you said you just pull a card and you look up each meaning and you try to make it work instead of finding the bigger picture. Yeah, so how can you weave a story with the cards? One way I do that is I look for similarities in the cards. So I look for repeating symbols, I look for repeating numbers or patterns, things that can kind of connect them. Another thing you can think of each card that you turn over as being like a chapter in a story. So each card is like a chapter. Some spreads it will be easier to do this with, like if you're doing, past, present, future spread, it's really easy to use that technique. I'm just trying to think of what else I do to weave a story. I would say the biggest tip is just looking for similarities and commonalities and patterns. Ooh, what was my first tarot deck? My first tarot deck was a deck called The Secret Tarot. It's a low Scarabeo deck. It's a really bizarre deck. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it, but that was my first deck that I had. It didn't make any sense to me. I remember being so confused when I got it. Good. Izzy, you're enjoying the social contact. It's good to hear. How often do you pick a deck and then realize you aren't feeling that deck, so you grab another one to read? Yeah, that happens from time to time. I don't switch decks if I'm reading for another person. I just commit to using the deck. I find I never have any issues with the Everyday Witch Tarot. But that definitely has happened where I'm like, I draw a card, I'm like, oh, I didn't like this card. Maybe I'll switch the deck. Do you ever get a card that you find tells you nothing useful? Yes, that has happened to me before. Absolutely. And whenever I get a card like this, I try to sit with it for a while and look at it from all different angles. I try different techniques, but every now and then you'll get a card that just isn't useful. That's when you want to draw a second card to give you a little more insight. What card do you love to get? I love to get the star. That's my favorite card. Did you ever have an unusual experience with negative energy or spirits? No, I haven't ever had a negative spiritual experience before. And no, I haven't had any unusual experiences with negative energy or spirits or anything like that. Yeah. When should we use spreads like the Celtic spread? What spread should we use for a general reading? The Celtic spread is a good general reading spread. The Celtic spread, though, I find it's a big spread. It uses 10 cards. So it's the kind of spread you want to do if you have a lot of time. The Celtic cross spread is not my favorite spread. I feel like I'd rather just invent my own spread for whatever issue I'm reading about. But if you just want to practice reading and you don't have any specific topic that you want to ask about, the Celtic cross spread is a fun one to do. Have I thought about making my own deck? No. Well, people have suggested it to me, and I feel like it's such a huge undertaking, and I'm really lazy. And there's other things I want to do before I create a deck. I'd rather write a book, or I have just other things that I want to focus on. So I don't think I'll be creating a deck anytime soon. Do you ever use other oracles such as Lenormand to get an answer? I have one Lenormand deck, and I haven't learned how to read with it yet. I'm in the process of learning that right now. Well, I say in the process. I started studying it, and then I kind of forgot about it, so I have to get back into that. I use oracle cards, so oracle decks. I love oracle decks, so yeah, I do. I do have rune stones. I don't really know how to read them, though. So tarot and oracle cards are definitely my preferred tools for doing readings. What do you do when you don't like a reading or when you can't read it at all? So if I do a reading that really doesn't make sense, what I do is I'll write it down and I'll revisit it later. Like I might even wait a week or 2 weeks and look at it again when I have a different mindset and a different perspective. If you really hate a reading, you can scrap it. But I feel like what happens when we hate a reading, you have to ask yourself, why do you hate the reading? Because usually what happens is it's because you went into the reading with an agenda. You wanted the reading to say a specific thing, and it's not saying that, so now you don't like it. And if you go into a reading with an agenda, which we all do this, I do this all the time, but when we go into a reading with an agenda, it's really hard to be unbiased and open to any guidance that comes through. Yeah, so that's what I have to say on that. But I have scrapped readings before if I didn't like what the cards were saying. But what do I do when I can't read? If I can't read, I don't read. This is tricky though if you have to do, if say a whole bunch of people have ordered readings from me and I have to keep up a schedule and I sit down to do a reading and I just, for the life of me, I can't read. And it does happen sometimes. I will take a day off. And this is why, if anyone here has ordered readings from me before and I've said, "Oh, I'm going to do your reading on such and such a day," and then I message you and say, "Nope, I'm a day behind," or "I'm 2 days behind." That's why. It's because there's one day where I just could not read. I just couldn't get in that mindset. So it didn't happen. And you can't, sometimes you just can't force it. Okay, this is a good one. I feel I get tired after interpreting cards. I feel drained. Does this get easier with time? I would say yes, it does. This happens to me as well. If I do a lot of readings, I feel drained. And it's because you're you're using a muscle that you maybe aren't used to using. You're using your intuitive muscle, and interpreting a card also requires a certain amount of creativity. You're using the right side of your brain, and if you're usually doing left-brained activities, that part of your brain is overdeveloped and your right part of your brain is underdeveloped. And so I think this is why often we do get drained, is because we're just not used to being in reading mode. So the more you do readings, the stronger that muscle gets, and you're less likely to get drained over time. But there's things that can make you feel drained. If you're trying too hard, if you have high expectations for the reading, if you have an agenda of what you want the cards to tell you, if you're reading for someone who has an agenda and seems kind of stressed out and tense and has high expectations for the reading. All of these things can create tension, and tension is the biggest thing that can drain our energy. So just noticing what kinds of things create tension for you in your reading can be helpful. When is the right time to start reading for others? And what is the easiest place to offer the service? Etsy, for example. I've never done readings on Etsy, so I can't speak to that. When is the right time to start reading for others? This is different for everyone. You should have a strong understanding and knowledge of the tarot before you start doing professional readings. I know there's lots of readers who, only study the cards for a few months and then start doing professional readings. I feel like you should have a really good understanding of tarot before you do that. And everyone's different. If you have a lot of free time, you can learn tarot much more quickly than someone who is, studying tarot 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month or something like that. So everyone's different. I think the thing though about reading for others is you're never really going to feel ready. So knowing, like, I started reading tarot before I truly felt ready. And it wasn't that I didn't have a good knowledge of tarot or that I didn't know what I was doing, but it's unfamiliar territory, right? So I would suggest actually starting by offering free readings or doing reading exchanges with other readers and getting feedback and just getting a lot of practice before you go pro. That's the biggest piece of advice, and that will build your confidence as well. Is there any card that you haven't ever pulled in any reading? No. However, what's interesting is when I do, so I offer my professional readings just twice a year. I do it in January and I do it in the summer. And what I noticed is that when I do those, what happens is I'll spend, an entire month just doing readings for people. And what I notice is that there's certain cards that will show up in almost everyone's reading. And then there's certain cards that won't ever show up. And it's so interesting to see, like, I'm trying to think what cards, I think the death card, death, and there's another card, might have been the Seven of Swords, was showing up in like so many readings this January. So yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. And you also ask, is there any card that's really difficult to draw? Yeah, so I struggle with the Five of Swords and Justice. Those are the two cards that I have a really hard time reading. And I know what those cards mean, so don't tell me what those cards mean, because I know what they mean. I just always have a hard time interpreting them. How do I detox and clear myself from energy after reading tarot? I love to take a hot bath and I pour a whole bunch of Epsom salts in there with some essential oils. And I light a candle and I just chill out in the bath. That's my favorite way of detoxing. When I'm doing back-to-back professional readings, I sage myself between each reading, or before and after each reading. Okay. You mentioned that you'd like to make up your own spreads. Could you give us an example? Yeah, so actually I made up a spread in the handout that I gave everyone. And if you didn't get the handout, I'm going to give it to you right now. Okay, so I just posted the handout. So there's a spread that I just made up on the fly yesterday in that handout. Basically, what I do before creating a spread is I ask, what do I want to know? So when I created the spread that's in the handout, I asked, what do I want to know? And I thought, I want to know what kind of strengths I should be tapping into right now. And I don't have the spread in front of me, but there's a couple other things I wanted to know. How I could feel the way I wanted to feel, and so that makes up the positions, basically just what you're wanting to know. Yes, I will do more readings. Okay, so now if you would like a one-card reading, let me know. So you can ask a question, you can ask a specific question, or you can just ask for a one-card reading. And I'm going to shuffle my deck. All right, Sophie. Sophie, you said you would love a card. The outer world is mirroring your inner world. Okay, that's not good, Sophie, because the outer world is messed up. All right, so I'm going to draw a card for Sophie. What does Sophie need to see right now? All right, Sophie, you got Seven of Swords. It's funny, I was just talking about the Seven of Swords. All right, so the Seven of Swords is, this is about being authentic. This card shows a woman who is tiptoeing as if she's walking on eggshells or if she is trying not to make a noise. She's tiptoeing because she doesn't want to disturb the peace. Ask yourself, are you doing anything out of fear of disturbing the peace or upsetting someone else? This card is encouraging you to start to live your life on your own terms. And that doesn't mean just doing whatever you want or being reckless. It's not about that. It's about really being honest with yourself about what's important to you and what kind of a life you want to live. And this, it's funny because I was hoping this card would be a calming card for you because you said your inner world is mirroring the outer world. And this is one of these cards that's kind of a difficult card because the journey of being true to yourself and being honest with yourself and living your life authentically and letting go of the fear of upsetting others is a difficult journey to take, but it's one that you must do. And I think that really this card is about cultivating a stronger, more authentic relationship with yourself and being honest with yourself about what you really want and what you need right now. Okay, so I hope that's helpful, Sophie. All right, so I'm just going to randomly pick people to read for. I won't be able to read for everyone. There's lots of people here, but I'll do as many as I can. I'll try to keep them short. All right. Okay, Felipe, what do I need to know today? Felipe, you've got the Ace of Cups. Oh, what do you need to know? I think this is about just expressing gratitude for the people in your life that mean a lot to you. This is about recognizing what you really appreciate, really getting centered within your heart, and showing affection for others, however you choose to do that, whether it's, picking up the phone, sending a nice message. This is really about expressing your love and appreciation today. All right. So I'm going to pull a card for Mark's ASMR, just because I like ASMR. All right. So Mark, you just want a general card. Oh, you got Ace of Cups too. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to say the same thing. This is about expressing your gratitude, expressing your love and your appreciation for people in your life. And I feel like this is also about flow and emotional flow and getting unblocked emotionally. Letting your emotions be there, letting them flow through you so that they don't get stuck. And that is just going to enhance your capacity for expressing your affection. Okay. All right, Music 1 AC. You're always in my live events. Thank you so much. I'm going to draw a card for you. All right, so you got, the Fool. I love it. All right. Okay, so the Fool is about taking a risk, taking a chance, and trusting that it's going to work out. So this may be, and I feel like this is about kind of putting yourself out there. Now, I don't mean this is about this isn't about going out in public and risking exposing yourself to germs. But this is about, I think, taking a creative risk. I feel like this is related to creativity. And whether it's a project you're working on or something you're thinking about launching or trying, this is about taking that risk, taking that first step. All right. Okay, so Taylor Ann, you're currently unemployed and you're looking for your calling. All right. So let's draw a card for you. Oh, the Fool. Okay, this is weird. I did shuffle the cards, by the way. So you got the Fool as well. And this card kind of makes sense in terms of your question. What is your calling? Okay, what kinds of things, when you think about different career options and different things to do, which ones make you feel light and happy? They may not be the things that make the most money or make the most sense to you right now, but which things fill you with joy? What things make you feel this sense of excitement and optimism? You want to start there. And also, if you were guaranteed to not fail, what would you do? Another question to ask is, if money was no object, if you didn't have to worry about paying the bills, supporting yourself, what would you do? And I'm not saying you should necessarily do that thing, but that's going to give you some breadcrumbs, some breadcrumbs to follow. That's going to give you some hints as to what kind of work you should be pursuing. Okay, I'm just going to turn the heat on because I'm really cold. Okay, I apologize if there's like a weird humming noise now in the background, but I'm getting really chilly in here. Okay, so I'll do a reading for Ina asked me, do I have a favorite card for myself? Yeah, someone else asked me this earlier. It's a star. The star is my favorite card for sure. I also really like the Hermit. All right, so just going to see who I haven't read for. Rebecca. Okay, I'm going to draw a card for Rebecca. Ah, the Sun. Ah, nice. Okay. So the Sun is like, this is such a positive card, but it's encouraging you to be more childlike, to cultivate that curious energy that you had as a child that we all kind of lose gradually as we get older. Engage in activities that bring out this side of you. So for me, it's, crafting, drawing, things like that. For you, it might be different. Maybe it's dancing or music or something. But really focus on engaging that side of yourself. It's going to help you get to a more positive place where you feel really positive and optimistic. This is also a card of optimism, and it's telling you that you have plenty of reasons to be optimistic. All right, draw a card for, oops. Lee Edwards. All right, Lee. Justice. I was just talking about how I hate reading Justice because I always struggle with this card. So now everyone's going to see me flounder and try to read this card. Okay, so Justice. Justice is encouraging you, whatever situation you find yourself in, whatever you're struggling with or not struggling with, Justice is encouraging you to look at things through an unemotional lens, where you look at the facts. You look at the facts and you take emotion and opinion and personal experience out of it. So looking at a situation with, objectively, an unbiased way. Another thing I get from this card is the importance of balance for you right now, balancing the light with the dark. And I think this is good advice for all of us, actually. So notice in your day-to-day life, how much stuff is maybe dark, depressing, heavy, and how much stuff is light and uplifting. You want to balance those things out. So you never want there to be more darkness than light. I don't know if there's anything wrong with more light than darkness. Maybe that's an okay way to be unbalanced. But if you're, and this is really advice I'm giving myself, but if you're, watching the news and you're going online and you're reading stuff that's stressing you out, make sure that you cultivate activities in your day that help you relax, that make you feel positive. Okay. All right. I'm going to do a reading for Daewoon Hayes. Five of Wands. Good. I was hoping it wouldn't be Justice again. All right, Five of Wands. Five of Wands. Okay, so there's two things that Five of Wands can represent. It can represent squabbling and disagreements on the outside. So that would be, outer squabbles, like fighting with family, having disagreements with people at work, kind of competing with someone at work or family. Or it can represent inner squabbles. So this is where you feel conflicted about something. Maybe a part of you wants one thing, but another part of you wants something else. And this is about really, well, actually, what's interesting is that often what's going on the inside is reflected on the outside. So if you want to change your outer circumstances, a good place to start is focusing on changing yourself. So this card is really encouraging you to look at any inner conflict that you have. And we all have inner conflict. And, all of us have different aspects to our personality. There's a part of myself that is very rational minded and sensible. There's a part of me that is, creative and emotional. There's a part of me that just wants to have fun and doesn't want to do responsible things. And it's always an act of kind of balancing out these different parts of myself and listening to each self and the different needs that each self has. And not just giving full rein to like my rational side or giving full rein to my hedonistic side. So that's what this card is saying is, listening to all of your inner needs and seeing if you can honor all of them, even if they appear to be in conflict. Okay, I'm going to do a reading for Kitties and Me 28. All right, just going to shuffle my cards. Six of Wands. Okay, so we had the Five of Wands. Now we have the Six of Wands. All right, so this is for Kitties and Me 28. So the Six of Wands is asking you to give yourself more credit and start to really acknowledge your successes in life. I think sometimes we have a tendency to fixate on our problems or the things that we're doing wrong or the things that need improvement, and our accomplishments and achievements and our good qualities get swept under the rug. So this card is saying start to really focus on what you're doing right and focus on your accomplishments and really give yourself credit. And being able to see yourself in that light, being able to see yourself as successful is going to help you create more of that in your life. I remember one time a woman that I worked with said to me, "Oh, you're such a go-getter, Kate. You're so ambitious. You're such a go-getter." And I was like, "What?" Because I never see myself like that. I never see myself as a go-getter. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Well, you started your own website. You started your own business. You're always taking courses. You're always learning things. You went traveling on your own." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right." So it's funny how other people will see some of our good qualities that we are blind to. And so that's kind of what this card is encouraging you to do. Okay, Tammy asks, any insight on my experiences that I've had today? I'm going to be honest, Tammy, I have no idea what experiences you've had, but let's draw you a card and see what the tarot has to say. So it may make sense or it may not. Ace of Swords. All right. The Ace of Swords, I always see this card as an action card about taking the first step, getting out there, cutting through red tape. I think sometimes we need to do something and red tape holds us back. And what I mean by red tape is, I'll give you an example. So I might want to edit a video. I have this new video editing software and I want to learn it. And I go to edit the video, then I realize I need to download some other software to get it to work properly. And then I'm going to have to do this and I'm going to have to do that. And then it just, all this stuff just overwhelms me. And maybe that's not a good example of red tape, but I think sometimes all the other stuff can overwhelm us and stop us from doing the things that are really important. So this card is about getting mentally focused on what is important to you and what needs to be done, tuning out distractions, and getting the courage to take that step forward. I don't know if that made sense to you at all, but hopefully, Tammy, it did. I also think, Tammy, that this is about the need to clear your mind. The Suit of Swords is about the mind and our thought processes, and the Ace to clear your mind. The Suit of Swords is about the mind and our thought processes. And the Ace is about kind of starting fresh, starting with a blank slate and really clearing your energy and clearing your mind. Okay, so I'm just going to do a few more readings and then I'm going to end the live cast only because I have to pee. So before I do those other readings, I want to give my website a little bit of a shout out. So if you haven't been to my website, dailytarotworld.com, I'm going to put the link in the comment section here. So my website is for anyone who is interested. Oh, okay, I spelled it wrong. Sorry. HTT. Oops. Don't click on the link I sent because it's wrong. Okay. My website is for anyone who's interested in learning more about tarot. I've got all kinds of fun tarot learning resources on there. I've got video tutorials, I've got deck reviews. There's lots of blog posts on how to read tarot, different exercises. I've got a list of tarot card meanings. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. So check it out if you haven't already. I also have a couple of e-courses and ebooks for sale if you're interested in that. All right. You can also find me on Facebook. I'm Daily Tarot Girl on Facebook. And of course, YouTube, which you've already found me on YouTube. So, all right. So I'm going to do some more readings. So I'm just going to reshuffle my deck here. Thank you, Melissa. Glad you like my site. Okay, so Laura S. I'm going to do a reading for Laura S. Knight of Swords. Okay. The Knight of Swords is saying that you have an amazing ability to focus your mind and your energy to get the job done. You know how to focus, and you have a lot of energy behind you to really, there's no stopping you once you get focused on something. But the warning of this card is to be careful about burning out. So when you're super focused and you're really, really busy, you can only keep that up for a certain amount of time. So you need to take breaks. So don't try to be in productive mode all the time. Take breaks. And I know for myself, I'm kind of like this. So I have 4 times a year where I really focus on something. But then in between, I take long periods of time where I don't do much of anything. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so Lola Moore, you said this is your first live thing that you've done with me, and you want a card. Okay. Oh, this card fell out. It's Death. Okay, so Death is an interesting card. I'm glad it's come up because this is an intense card, and it's the card that a lot of people fear getting in a reading. And I always get a little bit excited when it comes out because Death is about major transformation and major change. And if you look behind the Death figure, there's 2 doorways. One door is closed tightly, the other door is open ajar, and there's a glowing golden light emanating from it. And it's the idea that when one door closes, another door opens. The message here, Lola, is about letting go. There's something that you need to release. There's something that you need to let go of before you move on to the next step, the next phase. There's a new phase of your life that's calling to you, but first you need to release something. Yeah, but this is an exciting card to get. I would never say that Death is a bad card. It's about transition, essentially, about making a transition. All right, so I'm gonna do a couple, 2 or 3 more readings. Jonathan Ong. I know you, Jonathan. I'll give you a reading. Okay. All right, Jonathan. So you got the Ace of Pentacles. And it's funny because someone earlier was asking about the Ace of Pentacles and how to understand it on a deeper level. All right, so the Ace of Pentacles. This is a good card to get if there is a project that you are thinking of starting or in the process of starting. This is saying, yes, you're on the right track. You want to start that project. If you're not starting a project or thinking of a project, this is about really getting a sense of your path, especially as it relates to work, money, and career. And basically career or your work in the world ideally is an expression of some of your greatest gifts and your talents. And this is really asking you to get clear on what your path is. So this might be about, I feel like this card is calling for some minor changes, some minor tweaks to your path. But yeah, getting a sense of what is important to you and what direction you're going in. Okay. And thank you, Laura. All right. Okay, Maura D would like a card. Some of you have been asking what the deck I'm using is. This is the Everyday Witch Tarot. So Maura D, you got 3 of Pentacles. All right. So 3 of Pentacles is another card I associate with career and work and our work in the world, things like that. Okay, so what is the message here? This is about collaboration, collaborating with others on a particular project or something. It doesn't have to be a project, but there's something. I feel like whatever it is you're doing right now can be enriched by collaborating with others, not doing it on your own. I feel like you're going to know what that means, Maura. So sometimes we're stronger on our own, and sometimes we're stronger in a group and with others and collaborating. And I feel like right now, collaboration is what you want to focus on with whatever it is that you're doing. All right. Chiara in Italy would like a little card. All right. I will. Eight of Pentacles. All right, so this is Chiara from Italy, 8 of Pentacles. 8 of Pentacles tells you that you've got your work cut out for you. Once you get focused and you know what to do, you're going to be really busy. So I'm getting a couple of things from this card. Number one, it's going to be important for you to stay busy and keep yourself occupied with doing something useful. That's number one. Number two is that I see you working on something that has value to you, that's important to you, and it may not feel like you're making a lot of progress in the beginning, but stick with it. All right, so I'm going to do 2 more cards. I'm going to draw 2 more cards, and then I'm going to say goodbye. I'm just watching my foster kitty. There's this little bird. It's gone now, but it was like hopping along the fence outside the window, and she was just sitting there watching it so closely. All right. Annette B. Ooh, Ace of Wands. We've been getting a lot of aces. All right. We've had Ace of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, and we have Ace of Wands. And we have had Ace of Cups. We've had all the aces. That's really cool. All right, so Annette B, you got the Ace of Wands. And I'm sorry, my lighting isn't very good. It's almost too bright in here. So the Ace of Wands is all about creativity and being inspired. Now is the time for you to delve into or dive into your creative side. This might be about learning a creative skill or just experimenting or continuing an existing creative life if you're already a creative person. But this is about inspiration and being inspired. And I see you doing something new that you haven't done before. Like if you haven't done much creative writing, this could be about starting a journal, starting a writing project or something like that. There's so much. I don't know if something has recently inspired you creatively or if this card is telling you to cultivate that inspiration and to do things that help inspire you. Because I know myself, if I'm not feeling inspired, doing things that I don't normally do is something that will inspire me. And I mean, right now I can't really leave the house, but normally, like, I was getting into, I don't know if anyone here has heard of conscious dance or ecstatic dance, but that's something that I started doing and that has really inspired me. And whenever I'm looking for creative inspiration, I do something totally different that I've never tried before. That always works. Okay, so I'm going to do one last card. Good, I'm glad people are enjoying their readings. I don't think anyone hated their reading, or at least everyone's too polite to say. All right. All right, so Seeking Seema asks, any message for people who are sick at the moment? I don't want to draw a card for that, but do I have a message for people that are sick at the moment? I do. Get lots of rest, and I hope you get better. I hope you get well. Yeah, sorry, I can't think of anything more profound than that. Just that, and I know there's lots of people sick right now, and not just with coronavirus, but with all kinds of things. And there's more anxiety around being sick because people, and I don't know where it is where you are, but I'm in Canada and people can't get tests. So I don't know, like when I see these numbers reported in the news, I'm like, who's getting tests? Because I know lots of people who have corona symptoms, but there's no tests available. There's, it's really hard to get a test. So a lot of people don't know if they have it, but they think they might have it. And, any little scratch or tickle, people get worried about it. So I guess my words for them would be to, get rest. And I think the more relaxed you are about it, the better your immune system is going to be. When you get really stressed and scared, that takes a toll on your immune system. So, all right. So one last card. Okay. I'm going to do a reading for... I'm going to answer one question first, though. Do I believe that the cards I pick for others relate to you? Yes, I feel like they almost always relate to me in some way. Okay, Indigo author. May I have a card? Yes, you're going to be my last reading. Okay, Indigo. You got 10 of Wands. Okay. 10 of Wands is telling you to slow down. Don't try to do everything at once. I feel like you're trying to do too much. And even if you're not trying to do too much, it's like you're taking on the weight of the world. You're taking on other people's burdens. And you might not be trying to do too much, but you might be trying to think too much or figure things out. So you want to do less of that if you can. So give yourself a break. Don't try to do everything on your own. If you can ask for help, do it. If you can delegate responsibilities, do it. What you need to do is lighten the load for yourself if you can. Otherwise, it's going to be an uphill battle and a real drain on your energy. So take care of yourself, delegate, do what you can do to kind of lighten that load and be easier on yourself. Don't have such high expectations of yourself. You're capable of a lot, but that doesn't mean that you always have to be running on empty. It doesn't mean you always have to be working to your maximum potential all the time. All right. Okay, so that has been my my live cast. So I'm going to say goodbye to you, but I want to say thank you so much to everyone who came today. It was wonderful seeing everyone here in the chat, and I wish I could read all of the comments, and I'm not sure if I'm able to do that once I end the live cast or not, but hopefully I can. So yeah, and I will post the handout one last time. Okay, so there's the handout for those of you who haven't gotten it yet. So the handout has all the info that I covered in the first part of this live cast, has a tarot spread and a worksheet. So yeah, so thank you everyone for being here. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're taking care of yourself, you're staying as calm and grounded as you can. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed connecting with you today. I find myself, I'm usually a fairly introverted person. I spend a lot of time at home. So I'm not like a super social person, but even for me, this has been really hard, not being able to go out and do things, not being able to see friends, not even really being able to see family either. It's been really tough. And I know doing these live casts has really, really helped me. I did a live cast last week, and I'll be doing another one soon. I was thinking of doing a live cast, not tarot related, but just doing like drawing together, where we kind of get together and just do some drawings. I don't know if anyone would be interested in that or not. But if so, if you think that would be cool, let me know. Just a live cast where we just get together and sketch and chit chat and stuff like that. I thought would be kind of fun. Okay, so thank you again for being here, and take care.